What if humanity vanished in this very moment? Not gradually, not over centuries, but instantly, as if erased by an invisible force. No warning, no time to react. One heartbeat we are here, and in the next we are gone. Cities stand silent. Planes fall from the sky. Heartbeats stop. Conversations end mid-sentence. Earth remains, but humanity does not. At first, there's only stillness. A car rolls slowly across an empty highway until it drifts into silence. A ringing phone never gets answered. A boiling kettle whistles in an empty kitchen. Steam rising into a world that no longer belongs to us. The echoes of civilization continue, briefly, on the momentum we left behind. But there is no one left to keep the engines turning. In the first minute after human extinction, Earth does not celebrate. It simply pauses. Billions of lights continue to glow across cities. From New York to Tokyo, from London to Mumbai, neon signs flashing advertisements to no one. Streetlights flicker across deserted roads. The great monument of our civilizations, pyramids, skyscrapers, statues of kings and gods, stand proud but purposeless, their meaning lost without the minds that created them. But even in this silence, something else begins. The world starts to reclaim itself. Within hours, the first signs appear. Power plants, no longer maintained, begin shutting down. Electric grids collapse one by one, triggering rolling darkness that spreads like a wave across the globe. Cities that never slept, Shanghai, Los Angeles, Dubai, are suddenly plunged into night. The stars, unseen for generations beneath human light pollution, return with ancient brilliance. And beneath that starlit sky, nature senses an opportunity. Domesticated animals wander without direction. Dogs howl in confusion. Cats slip silently back into instinct. Cows graze across fields without fences. In zoos, the strongest animals break free while the weakest perish. In the oceans, ships drift aimlessly, their autopilot systems failing. The radio waves of civilization fall silent, one frequency at a time, until Earth becomes truly quiet for the first time in 300,000 years. But this is only the beginning of our disappearance. Within days, water seeps through subway tunnels and underground stations. Without pumps to drain them, cities like New York and London begin to flood from below. Rats, once kept in check by our efforts, breed rapidly in the darkness until predators follow. Wolves, foxes, and bears emerge from the forests, cautiously stepping into empty streets, guided by an ancient memory that this land was once theirs. The wind blows dust across abandoned highways. Sand begins to swallow roads and deserts. Snow falls quietly over rooftops, unchecked by the heat of human habitation. In tropical regions, vines find cracks in buildings and begin their slow invasion. Within weeks, Earth's surface begins to heal, not with rage, but with patience. Every skyscraper, every statue, every human creation was built to defy time. But time has never lost a battle. Steel begins to rust. Concrete begins to crack. Bridges begin to weaken as nature exploits every flaw. The tallest skyscrapers in the world, symbols of human power, now stand as ticking time bombs of gravity and corrosion. But the cities are not the first to fall. The real collapse begins inside our legacy. Nuclear power plants, without human control, begin to overheat. Some automatically shut down. Others fail catastrophically. In the absence of cooling systems, reactors begin to melt, releasing radiation into the atmosphere. The Earth shudders. Our most powerful creation, nuclear energy, becomes our final footprint on a planet that no longer knows our name. And yet, Earth is resilient. Radiation zones carve out pockets of death. But outside those zones, life surges with violent speed. Grass breaks through cracks in highways. Forests spread across farmland. Coral reefs, once dying from human pollution, begin to grow again. Dolphins return to coastlines once filled with ships and oil. In the silence of our extinction, the Earth begins to breathe again. Millions of years of evolution have been bent around humanity's will. But now, the balance returns. Rivers find their ancient paths. Mountains stand untouched. The great glaciers of the poles, still melting from our legacy of warming, continue their collapse, flooding coastlines until the world finds a new equilibrium. Humanity is gone, but Earth is not dying. It is beginning anew, and yet not everything we built vanishes so easily. Deep beneath the Earth's surface, in sealed vaults and cosmic messages inscribed on golden plates, remnants of our civilization wait, buried in ice, stone, and starlight. We are gone, but our question remains, echoing in the silence we left behind. Who will inherit the Earth? And what will they do with the world we once ruled? But this was only the beginning. But the true story of Earth after humanity is not written in days or weeks. It is written in centuries. What begins as silence soon becomes transformation. The traces of our existence, our cities, our machines, our monuments, enter a battle not with war or time alone, but with nature itself. And nature wins not through force, but through patience. Within 1 year of human extinction, nearly every light on Earth is dark. Solar panels, once harnessing the sun, are now covered in dust and debris. Wind turbines have stopped rotating as their bearings rust. Hydroelectric dams begin to overflow. Water reclaiming controlled landscapes once shaped to our will. Without maintenance, dams crack under pressure, sending torrent of water into valleys that were once farmland and towns. In this new world, life is no longer controlled. It is unleashed. The cities that once pulsed with human activity now pulse with new kinds of life. In tropical regions, rainforests expand rapidly, swallowing entire suburbs under walls of green. Roots break through roads, vines wrap around streetlights, and entire buildings are engulfed by creeping foliage. In temperate regions, forests reclaim abandoned land with unstoppable momentum, spreading through what were once neighborhoods, industrial zones, and shopping centers. Human architecture begins to fall. Skyscrapers collapse from within as water freezes and expands and cracks, shattering steel and concrete from the inside. Glass windows, once a symbol of modern elegance, now shatter in storms, allowing birds to build nests in office towers where boardrooms once made million-dollar decisions. The tallest buildings on Earth, Burj Khalifa, One World Trade Center, will not stand for more than a few centuries before collapsing into rubble, merging back with the dust from which they were built. But while our structures fall, our failures rise. The carbon we released into the sky continues to trap heat. Global temperatures rise. Weather patterns grow more violent. Coastlines flood. Earth shakes off the final fingerprints of human influence through environmental consequences we left behind. But eventually, stability returns. In 100 years, pollution levels drop dramatically. The sky becomes clearer than at any point in modern history. The ozone layer, once scarred by chlorofluorocarbons, heals itself. Species that were in danger begin to reappear. Some evolve rapidly in our absence, adapting to cities now reclaimed by forests. Urban foxes grow more intelligent. Birds evolve new migration patterns. Marine life flourishes in oceans now empty of fishing ships. Coral reefs, once bleached and dying, begin glowing with vibrant color once again. Earth is no longer recovering from humanity. Earth is evolving beyond humanity. And yet, deep beneath the surface, the final remnants of our presence lie buried. Nuclear waste, sealed in containers meant to last thousands of years, begins to crack. Radioactive particles leak into the soil, spreading slowly, invisibly. For thousands of years, patches of the earth will be marked by human legacy, not with our monuments, but with our poison. Even so, life persists. In places scarred by radiation, new species begin evolving resistance to it. Just as life once emerged from volcanic vents and meteor impacts, it now adapts to radiation we left behind. The story of life does not end with our extinction. It begins anew, free from our control. Over 10,000 years, almost everything we ever built is gone. The Great Pyramids of Egypt, Mount Rushmore, and the Great Wall of China will be among the last remaining signs of our existence. Yet even they begin to erode under wind, rain, and shifting land. The last of our languages vanish. No one speaks the names of cities. No one remembers empires. Our stories fade into legend, then into nothing. But the earth is not empty. It is alive. Forests stretch across continents without interruption. Rivers flow freely, carving new paths. Animals roam from pole to pole without fear of human boundaries. Ecosystems flourish. Evolution accelerates in our absence, creating creatures we could never have imagined, some with heightened intelligence, some with new survival capabilities shaped by a world we once dominated. And amid this flourishing world, the ruins of our civilization become mysterious relics of a species long forgotten. Our satellites fall from orbit, burning up in the atmosphere like shooting stars, perhaps inspiring myths among the new creatures that rise after us. One day, somewhere on Earth, intelligence may rise again. Not human, but something new. Something shaped not in our image, but by nature's hand. Perhaps primates evolve further. Perhaps octopuses develop greater intelligence in the oceans. Or perhaps a new species entirely, born from evolutionary branches we never considered, will rise to look upon our ruins and ask, what were the creatures who came before us? Where did they go? And could the same fate await us? For in a universe ruled by time, extinction is not an end. It is a transition. And though humanity has vanished from Earth, our story may still echo in the consciousness of whatever comes next. But this was still only the middle of the story, because the most extraordinary transformations had yet to begin. The clock has turned far beyond the memory of mankind. Humanity is not merely gone. It has become a geological layer, a thin band of artificial materials buried in sediment and time, indistinguishable to the untrained eye. The Earth has entered a new chapter without us. But the true transformation has only just begun. 50,000 years after human extinction, nothing remains of our cities but faint scars on the land. The coastlines are entirely different now, shaped by rising seas and shifting tectonic plates. Rivers have carved new paths. Mountains have eroded and reformed. Ice ages come and go as Earth, in its never-ending rhythm, cycles between cold silences and warm awakenings. The last metal beams of skyscrapers have long dissolved. Nothing stands where once stood the symbols of our greatness. But deep underground, hidden in caverns, salt mines, and sealed vaults, traces of humanity remain. Preserved artifacts, strange metals, and mysterious objects unknowable to any new mind that might discover them. Life now flourishes in ways once impossible. Environments once controlled by humans transform into evolutionary laboratories. Gigantic forests stretch across what was once the Amazon, Africa, Asia, and North America, merging into a single super ecosystem. Mega herbivores the size of buses roam these forests, descendants of elephants and bison, shaped by 50,000 years of natural selection. Apex predators with new senses and abilities stalk them under canopies thicker than any jungle that ever existed in human time. In the oceans, life has undergone even more radical change. Without pollution, coral reefs glow with life, creating cities of color for creatures radically different from anything known before. Intelligent cephalopods begin constructing primitive coral structures as shelters, taught not by culture, but by evolutionary memory. A new world is rising, a world no longer defined by humanity, but by the raw imagination of nature. Yet, Earth is not static. The planet is alive, restless, and deep beneath its surface, something ancient begins to stir. The tectonic plates shift with renewed intensity. Continents begin their slow march toward one another, preparing to reunite into a future supercontinent, just as they have done before, long before humans ever existed. 100,000 years after humans, glaciers return. The world enters a new ice age. Massive sheets of ice swallow what were once New York, London, Moscow, and Beijing. The great forests retreat. Deserts expand. And with these changes, evolution takes another leap. Species adapt rapidly to extreme cold, reshaping themselves in ways that would appear alien to any human eye. The mega herbivores become wool-covered titans. Apex predators develop thermal organs and night vision that pierce the polar darkness. Earth is reinventing life with every breath. And then, something miraculous begins to happen. Hidden away in the darkest corners of the planet, deep-sea vents, isolated caves, subglacial lakes, and ancient valleys, new forms of intelligence begin to emerge. Some are biological descendants of life we once knew. Others are entirely new, a product of evolution taking directions humanity never anticipated. Perhaps it begins in the ocean, a species of deep-sea cephalopod, with intelligence rivaling what humans once had, begins to communicate across vast distances using electromagnetic signals. Or maybe on land, A species of primate evolves not hands like ours, but minds capable of complex telepathic communication, using bioelectrical pulses we never imagined life could produce. The age of humanity is over, but the age of intelligence has only begun. These emerging beings do not rebuild human civilization. They create something new, something perfectly adapted to the new Earth. Instead of metal, they use living organisms as tools. Instead of cities, they cultivate symbiotic biostructures grown from genetically evolved trees and core-like life forms. But somewhere in their rise, they encounter the first mysteries of the species that came before them. In a cave sealed by a collapsed mountain, they find a wall engraved in gold. It is part of the Voyager Golden Record, launched into space by humans, but one copy was buried as a backup on Earth. The inscription shows strange spiral symbols, diagrams of hydrogen atoms, the position of stars, and a silhouette of a creature they have never seen, a human being. They do not know who we were. They do not know what fate took us. But they recognize something in this ancient artifact, a message from beings who were just like them, trying to understand their place in the universe. This discovery becomes their turning point. The new intelligent species begins asking the same question we once asked. Why are we here? Where did we come from? And are we alone? They look to the stars. They begin to seek answers among the ruins of Earth and the sky above, all without ever knowing the name of the species that came before. Because by now, our name is lost. We are not remembered as conquerors or builders or even destroyers. We are remembered only as a whisper in the stone, a spark in evolution's memory. And the greatest transformations were still yet to come. Transformations not just on Earth, but across the entire universe. The age of post-human intelligence was only the beginning. Time, relentless and infinite, has carried the universe far beyond the age of humanity. Stars have been born, lived, and died. Civilizations, non-human, perhaps even post-biological, have risen and fallen across galaxies. Earth, once the cradle of human life, has transformed into something entirely unfamiliar, a world that has forgotten us completely. And now, even Earth's time is drawing near its end. Millions of years after human extinction, Earth has become a planet of astonishing diversity and constant change. Continents have merged into a new supercontinent, surrounded by one vast global ocean. Volcanoes rage across the merged landmass, spilling rivers of molten rock that sculpt the future landscape. New species dominate the Earth. Towering reptilian megafauna, intelligent oceanic beings who navigate currents like highways, and aerial creatures with wingspans larger than any living bird today. Life has moved on. It always has and always will. But life cannot outrun time forever. The sun, now far older, burns hotter. Its outer layers swell slightly as it approaches the irreversible stages of stellar evolution. Earth's oceans begin to evaporate. Rivers dry. Forests burn not from human hands, but from a star that once nourished them. The atmosphere thickens with steam, trapping unbearable heat. The once breathable skies become a suffocating shroud. Life fights to adapt, but there is a limit to resilience. The last ecosystems retreat underground and underwater, seeking shelter from the merciless sun. Ancient life forms, those that survive through extremity, take over. Single-celled organisms, extremophiles, and silicon-based microbial networks begin to dominate where complex life once thrived. Earth becomes a planet of endings. Millions more years pass. The sun expands further. Mountains melt into liquid fire. Oceans vanish entirely. Earth becomes what it once was, a molten world under a red sky, a planet purged of all memory. Even the deepest vaults of humanity's legacy, those buried beneath mountains or trapped in sediments, are obliterated by the fiery breath of a dying star. Humanity, life, civilization, all erased from Earth's surface. But our story does not end there, because while Earth dies, the universe remembers. Orbiting far beyond the reach of the sun's fury, a lone ancient machine drifts silently through interstellar space. It is Voyager 1. Created by humans more than 1 billion years ago, it has outlived every star chart, every world, every memory of its creators. It carries a golden record, a message of what we once were, our languages, our dreams, our heartbeat, the sound of mother greeting her child, the waves of the ocean, the laughter of a species that once lived on a distant blue world. And then in the vast darkness between galaxies, something finds it, an intelligence beyond our comprehension. Perhaps biological, perhaps artificial, perhaps something entirely new, detects a faint metallic echo of our existence. The golden record is recovered. The symbols are studied. The music is played. And after more than 1 billion years of silence, the voice of humanity speaks once more. We are gone, but we are heard. Across light years, across time, across extinction itself, the story of humans travels on. And among that incomprehensibly advanced species, a realization occurs. We were here. We tried to understand. We loved. We feared. We dreamed. And like all things in the universe, we passed on our spark before fading away. In that moment, humanity becomes what was always meant to be. Not rulers of Earth, but storytellers of the cosmos. Even if no human ever walks again, even if Earth becomes dust, our story becomes part of the universe's memory. Because extinction is not the end of meaning. It is the beginning of legacy. And somewhere across the stars, a new voice whispers into the cosmic void, not in fear, but in wonder. Who came before us? What truths did they uncover? And what will become of us when our time ends? The universe does what it has always done. It moves forward. Stars live and die. Galaxies collide. Time stretches ever onward. And in the quiet darkness, the memory of humanity drifts eternally between the stars, waiting to be found again by someone, somewhere, sometime beyond imagination. This is not the story of humanity's end. This is a story of how we became a part of forever. And if you are listening now, you are proof that we were never truly gone. Our story lives on in you.